Hi, I'm Linda Capeloto Sendowski, and it's early Friday morning. Today I'm going to show how to mix and form and bake challah bread for Friday. So the first thing we do is I start out with 2 packets of yeast. I prefer rapid rise. So I just take my little scissor and I cut across and I pour the yeast into a 2-cup glass measure. Then I take a teaspoon of sugar because yeast is a living thing and it needs warm water. Pouring and carefully checking the measure. And now the yeast will begin to make bubbles. And this is called proofing the yeast. The next ingredient is a 1/3 cup of honey. And today I have wildflower honey that I bought at a farm market. They always have the most delicious honeys at farm markets, all kinds of flavors depending on what kind of flowers they come from. And I use a scraper. And I get all that honey out of the measuring cup. Don't waste it. The next ingredient is a 1/2 cup of vegetable oil. And as I've said in the past, I prefer safflower oil, but you can use canola or any kind of vegetable oil you like. So I just put that in, like that. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check my 3 eggs. So I crack each egg, and I take a look. In the meantime, go ahead and measure 3 cups of flour. I prefer to use better for bread flour. It has a higher gluten content and I think it gives a better texture to the bread. And then we're going to put in 2 teaspoons of salt, like that. And we're going to give the bread a little mix. You can do this at home. So now we're going to pour that all in here and scrape out every last bit. I'm not one of these modern chefs that leaves a lot left in the container. I know that drives me crazy when I watch on TV and they leave so much left in the bowl or in the glass. Now, put the top on. And we're going to run this for a moment. Take the lid off, scrape it down so you don't have flour all over the sides. And just mix this for another second. Now, if you take a look inside the bowl, you'll see that it's really well blended, and this is starting to develop the gluten, the strands, the best texture that you want in the bread. Starter here. So 1, 2, 3 cups more of flour, and I'm going to set this aside. Now put the lid on and come up and look close. And here we go. Okay, so we're just about ready. Turn off my machine and look inside. And here we go. Here's the dough, and it's all balled up and kneaded for you. Now, if you're kneading by hand, you want to get to a stage like this where it's soft, but see the strands, how it stretches out. And pull all this dough out of the processor carefully without cutting yourself on the blades. And there you go. There's our ball of dough. Take your hands, tuck it under, form a nice smooth ball. And you see it doesn't stick at all. And I'm going to put it in a dish like this, ungreased. The magic of video. No, actually I made an extra dough earlier so that I could have one ready to show you. But here it is. It's risen tremendously. It's at least 2 times doubled in bulk. Now, in order for this to be used as challah, you have to take off the little pieces. And my mother always did it in a 6-pointed star. And then recite the blessing. And you can find the words to the blessing on my blog site along with the actual recipe. And we're going to set this aside. If you come down here, I'm going to prepare my pans to put the formed challah. Wash the dough down. If you want to get a close-up here. You see what I'm doing? I'm kind of rolling it with my hands and squashing out the bubbles. And I just put it directly on my scrupulously clean countertop. And here's our dough. Now this is what I do. I was inspired. Have you ever seen those videos of the Chinese noodle guys? So this is what I do. I take the dough and I kind of beat it. And because the gluten is so well developed, it shakes out very easily into a long piece. Much easier than rolling it out. Now this is enough dough to make 2 challahs. I'm going to take my big carved knife. That means it's neither dairy nor meat. And I'm going to cut this dough like this. Now I want to cut this in 3. So I find it easier to roll the whole piece at once. Now I like my dough divided into kind of thick pieces. So here we go. We're going to form the challah. Put your 3 pieces like that, crisscrossed. And now we're going to braid them from the middle out. I find it comes out a little more even that way. Turn it. Seal the end really well by pinching it and tucking it. You don't want it coming apart when you're in the baking process. And there I go. I'm finishing my braid and tucking it under. And there we go. One challah ready to go. Round ones. So what you want to do is leave one end pretty thick and then keep rolling the rest out into a very long piece. And you want to start with this thick one in the middle and coil it around. Now that our challahs are formed, we're just going to cover them and cover them to create a little warmth. And they are going to run ready to get brushed with some egg. And we're going to put some sesame seeds. Just beat up a little egg like that. We're going to paint it with sesame seeds. And as you'll notice, this is a silicone brush. It's very light, makes it really easy to paint on. And this goes in the dishwasher. It's real easy to clean. So carefully, you don't want to squash your bread because it's a lot of air bubbles in there that have made this challah rise so nicely. There are sesame seeds, and I'm going to sprinkle those like that. And they stick. Half an hour has passed, and now we're ready to take our challahs out of the oven. So let's see how they turned out. Woo! There we go. Beautiful challah, ready for Friday night.